Have you noticed that like Rogan and some of these other podcasts, they just start like in the middle, like of their like Rogan's like notorious for that. Yeah, like one guest recently was like, oh, we're live. Oh yeah, we've been live.
Like what?
They thought they were just still bullshitting, you know.
Nope, sadly.
Well, so we got a lot of comments from our last episode.
Yes.
Yeah, so I didn't know if you wanted to address any of these, but
I think we probably should. Let's close the loop. That's what they say in business.
Yeah, exactly. Close that circuit. Yeah, so we talked about last week religion, and had some people going, "This is crazy. You guys don't believe in blah 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 anymore." Da, da, da. And I'm like, look, if you just rewind the video maybe and listen again, and you'll see I was saying, what if, and try on this, and in this scenario, how would you know X, right?
Right.
We're not trying to tell anybody what to believe necessarily. And hopefully you guys came back for another dose. And if not, have a great journey somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, you know, so the thing is with a lot of that is the what if. Like we both take what if to very seriously. Like what if means we're carving out a little bit of space where we just suspend all sorts of stuff that are a lot of our normal beliefs. You know, we just kind of put those aside and playing in this little world of what if, what else would happen? What else would be true or not true? How would that work exactly? Like imagine if you said, hey, you know, what if Thor and Superman were the same person? You'd be like, no way. That would mean
they probably are.
The DC universe and Avengers would be the same universe, and this, and like the son of Krypton is also. Well, does that mean that Krypton is part of Asgard? Like,
and Asgard did it get destroyed? I thought it was still alive.
I thought it was still. Yeah. What? So that's the thing is, it would be it. But it's not like we're sitting there thinking to ourselves, and this is true. Like we solved it, we figured it out. It's like, no, we're talking what if. And a lot of times when dealing with, especially the New Testament, but if you really want some what if, go look at Old Testament stuff, and then it's kind of like you just got to set that aside, because otherwise it would be almost paralyzing to think about this stuff. If you're like, if everything I thought about, I needed to make sure was true first before thinking about it, there's no way to. I mean, you can't function that way.
Right. Well, I agree with you. I think it reminds me of that show that we used to watch when we were kids, Mr. Rogers. You know, he used to. This guy, if you've never seen the show, comes to his house in the middle of the day and takes off his suit and puts on like a cardigan and puts on his sneakers, you know, so he can just kind of relax and be at home. And it's like a kid's show. Well, part of that show was he had this red trolley on the wall, and the trolley would go down these tracks and through this hole. And on the other end of the hole, it was in make-believe land. And in make-believe land, you had these puppets and different things going on. And so, like, to me, when I say what if or whatever, it's like, just, hey, hop on the trolley with me. We're just going to go into make-believe land, pretend that this is a possibility, and just entertain it for a minute and see where your head goes with it. And then do you discover anything from that, right? But I think when it comes to religion, one of the things that I wasn't really aware of. I mean, I've heard this before, but it never really like grabbed me as something that I needed to be concerned of. But a few of the people that gave me feedback anyway were like, you know, playing with some of these ideas can be dangerous. You know, like you may be asking, you know, when you ask what if and you bring these questions up, you know, and you bring doubt into people's minds, that's how the devil takes root. And like, you know, like, so some people were literally like, you know, like shame, almost like shame on you for like even talking about this, because you're going to like shake some people's faith potentially. And then you would be responsible for what their, you know, their eternal condition or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, it's a
lot of pressure.
I haven't really thought about that. I don't know. It's a lot of pressure. I don't know that, it's true that somebody else could be responsible for my eternal condition, but maybe that is the case. I don't know much of anything about it other than what I've read, and neither do you. So, but anyway, I just it was interesting conversation.
Yeah. Well, that's. I think this is one of the things that I've always kind of resisted within kind of the religious world in general, was the idea that like you shouldn't question, right? Or that questioning is bad, or in some way like you need to be really careful about the people around you because they can't handle the questions or whatever. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, you mean your fellow human beings? Like the
Right.
one like why wouldn't we talk to our fellow human beings about these things? Like it just seems very very elitist to me to talk that way. And the other thing too is that like I don't think either of us expect our audience to just agree with us on stuff. Like
It'd be crazy if they did.
Why would they do that? Like half the time I don't agree with myself, so like why should you? So I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'll tell you that came up a little bit more for me this week. I was reading a piece that was in, was it Texas Tribune or whatever? It was like a expose into some stuff going on in the Southern Baptist world, and we don't need to get into it. It's just like a sad story. But one of the things that came up in it was this idea that the people who had like blown the whistle or talked about it had been labeled like not heretics, but like disruptive. That they had been questioning the man of God, and that's going to stop. We need to not question these things for the good of evangelism and stuff like that. And it's like, no, right? No to all of that. Of course you should be able to question. You should question. I don't see the appeal to very fideistic, just believe, and I don't that has no appeal to me.
Me either. Yeah. Me either, which is why this podcast has such massive appeal for me. We can talk about whatever we want here. So if you don't like it, you can change the channel.
What do you think? Do you think Moses was a monotheist? Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. We'll move on.
Yeah.
We'll just get everyone really angry at that point.
Speaking of, I did also hear some. I also heard some complaints that we didn't talk enough politics last week too. But
I figured everybody'd be bored by us.
Yeah, I'm like, well, but speaking of Moses, how about this golden calf they built for Trump?
So I was not able to find a picture of it. I had heard of this.
Oh my God, I included one in the link.
That was a picture? It looked like it was AI generated.
No, they have it from like all these different angles.
Okay, all right. Let me pull it up then.
So for those of you guys who don't know the story,
it's gotten like I'm looking at the picture. I'm like, that's not even real.
For those people who don't know what the story is, so like it's apparently last week, a bunch of religious leaders, evangelical leaders, got together at one of Trump's golf courses in Miami, I think Doral, and they unveiled this gold. You just can't make this up. A golden statue of Trump with his fist raised in the air from the assassination attempt. Maybe we should use scare quotes for that one, but anyway, the assassination attempt. They prayed on it and tried to given the statue a blessing, right? But they're giving and some people obviously made the. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to connect those dots.
Golden.
Yeah, and like, hey, well, so how do you guys reconcile, this and that, And the response from these evangelical leaders was just like, this is ridiculous. We're not worshiping a statue. We're praying over the president and praying God's power. Right, but you were congregated around a statue and you did lay hands on the statue, right? But it's a proxy for the president. Oh, okay, got Got it. Yeah. Nothing to see here, folks. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. I just
Yeah. It's weird. That some of that stuff to me is really weird. Like I'm kind of weirded out by people on both ends of the spectrum when they talk about Trump as something other than a politician. You know, so it's
You mean
like
like a
in the same way
businessman?
that I find no, what I mean, like when you take a look at like the people on the left, they're like, oh my gosh, he's Satan
Right.
incarnate. You know, it's like if Satan showed up and said, I think I've decided to denounce Trump, we would all rally around him, around Satan, you know, kind of thing. And then if you take a look at like on the other end of the spectrum, you got the people who are like, this is God's chosen man. The Holy Spirit is upon him, kind of thing. Of like, he's a politician, guys. He's a politician. Like, you don't got to be that way. It's weird.
You don't have to take it that direction, man. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, but you can. That's cool. I mean, did you see?
It's like he's going to do some stuff that you like, some stuff that you don't like. That's
did you see Tucker Carlson a couple weeks ago called him the Antichrist? Literally, I mean, he didn't say Trump is the Antichrist, but he's like, what kind of person, you know, doesn't, you know, he's laying out this argument, right? What kind of person doesn't do that? What kind of person doesn't do that? Da-da-da. I mean, you know, could he be the Antichrist? I mean, who knows? You know, like that kind of thing, right? And you're just like, you know, Tucker. I mean, it's so funny, man. It's like you evaluate some of these things that people say, and you're just like, man, so yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Oh, wait, you totally lost me there, you know? But it's weird.
I put it in the same category as the people who said that Obama was the Antichrist. Like, yeah, I'm sorry. He's just not popular enough.
Joe Biden was, though.
Yeah, he was. 81 million votes, man. 81 million. No. But yeah, like none of these guys are popular enough to be the Antichrist. Like the Antichrist, let me tell you about the Antichrist. The Antichrist is going to be so universally celebrated that you, my friend, will be Team Antichrist when he shows up. Like doesn't the book of Revelation say he's so compelling that even the elect will be swayed by what he says? Like, dude, if you're sitting there thinking to yourself like, this might be the Antichrist, it's not, because you're not convinced, and you will be. So anyway,
that's a great take on that prophecy. I love it.
Yeah, it's like you should.
If you think they're the Antichrist, they're not.
It's going to be you.
Yeah,
it's going to be because you're going to be in favor.
Oh, that's so funny.
You're going to be real embarrassed.
Well, in that case, like, then Trump might be the Antichrist.
Yeah.
Because I'm blown away.
Well, it seems like in that case, he's fooled only the elect.
Right. It's like, man, I'm blown away at the religious leaders who are like on board with some of the stuff that this guy says. It's like, I don't understand.
It's the Uno reverse edition Antichrist.
Right. Uno reverse. Look, America is an exceptional place. We've said this for a long time. Among the things that we've created here is American Jesus, and we also have the American Antichrist. That's perfect. You know, wow. And we've had two now. We've had two. We had with the Black Democrat Antichrist, and now we got the white supremacist Republican Antichrist. They're great. You'll love them. They're the best. They're the best.
We have the best.
We export it everywhere. Everybody loves it. What do you think about this? On a serious note, what do you think about this trip to China that they're taking right now?
I think it's like just good foreign policy stuff. Like,
did you see the people he put on the plane with him?
No, who did he take with him?
He's taking Musk. He's taking the head of NVIDIA, the Gordon Wang,
Jensen Wang.
He's taken like a bunch of business people, like big swinging people that China wants, obviously, their stuff. So he's taking plenty of carrots on the plane with him. So we'll see what he can come back with.
Well, I think that's probably a good idea.
Why wouldn't? Yeah, exactly.
I mean, because the thing is that I don't think, other than thinking of like trying to steal each other's prizes, it's not like China and the U.S. are enemies. I mean, we're friends. We've been trading partners for a long time. There's a lot of investment that goes back and forth. So I think a nice state visit that involves, smiling Chinese school children, waving American flags at the American president, and signing some deals that would involve export restrictions being lifted for this in exchange for that. And I mean, good, right? Like, it doesn't seem that controversial to me. I think probably there's been a little bit, since China did get a lot of their petroleum stuff from Iran. This might be a nice way to shore up. They're like, hey, you don't need those guys. Like, if just sit tight for a little bit. Once we come in and take over this, or our proxies do, the spigots will open again. In fact, here's all the people that are the biggest donors for me. They want to sell into your economy as soon as those resources open up. And so, like, don't worry, everything's cool. Stick on our side. Don't send weapon technology over to Iran. Like, there's no reason. Like, we got your back. I have a feeling that's also a little bit of what's going on.
That'd be good if they get some movement on it, because right now, like, China, they pretty much know, like, China's not only they're not giving them weapons, but they're sending them like literal rocket fuel and a bunch of raw materials.
Yeah. Which I think, if you put yourself in China's shoes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That, like, because it's not like Iran has ever threatened China. It's not like we're funding the people that are vowing to kill us. It's like, no, they're over there causing problems with their neighbors. They're not going to mess with us. We don't care.
And causing problems for you guys, which is fine with us.
Except for, wasn't some of the stuff involving the Uyghurs? Am I hallucinating this?
The what?
Wasn't there something? The Uyghurs there in China, the sort of Muslim, majority Muslim ethnic group in China, that they've been causing some issues. I thought maybe there was a funding tie to Iran, but maybe not. Probably not, because if there was, I doubt that China would be helping that regime at all, since they tend to hold long-term grudges.
They can afford to.
So, yeah, I mean, that's part of the privilege of having a single party system, is that you're like, oh, no, we're still angry at them from 30 years ago. You know? And it's like, cool, there's no changeover to, like, shuffle the deck. So
there was an interesting move Iran made in their last list of demands. I guess they went and met with the Russians, and I'm just putting two and two together here, but, like, it seems pretty clear to me that Russia is giving them like certainly some targeting information, because on which would make sense, like tit for tat. Like, we've been giving targeting information to the Ukrainians on Russia, and Russia's like, oh, here's some stuff you might want to. Well, so apparently what they got clued into.
Turnabout's fair play.
Right. What they got clued into. So if you, before I say this, how much of the internet traffic, all internet traffic, do you think, as a percentage, goes over cable, like physical wires, or via satellite?
So this has been a long time since I've looked at these numbers, but from what I saw earlier, very, very little of it goes over satellite.
Yep.
Is that still true?
Yep, exactly. So something like I forget what the number is, but it's like in the 80 to 90%. It's all over.
10x of it.
And so they're transatlantic and undersea cables that connect the entire planet. And there's you can go online and see the maps, they publish them, but there's a massive hub of wires at the base of India. And then there's a fairly significant chute that goes up through the Strait of Hormuz. And so they got clued into this. And so they're like, yeah. And also, so because they're already, like, part of their negotiating stance is, we want to, however much a barrel, $1 a barrel that comes through here, whatever the number is, but it would
we need
but it would add up to like, like billions and billions of dollars a month that they would be like reaping, which it's so crazy to think like, okay, the stuff you're asking for is stuff that we were getting for free before this adventure. So like, I don't know how you think we're going to say yes to that. On the other hand, it's like, the political calendar and all the different things going on our end, there's going to be pressure to go, just take a deal and let's move on, but like so that's the first thing they wanted was the toll on the barrels. But now they're saying that they also are going to want they want to basically want us to pay protection on the lines that run through the strait, and if anything goes wrong with them, that only Iranian crews and technicians can go down and work on them, right? So I was like, oh, that's interesting. Just new development right after you met with Russia. It's fascinating.
Well, it's an interesting tactic that I think you saw something similar in the run up to the Iraq War. So I don't know if you remember this. I don't know if you were as glued to the news as I was in 2003, but there is all this stuff because the Iraqi foreign 2002. Sorry, yeah. The Iraqi foreign minister had been basically like, look, no one can invade our country. We have the greatest defenses ever. No one can stop us,
We're
kind of thing. If anyone steps foot in this soil, they'll see the truth, of what we're really capable of. And they're like, wait, are you saying you have chemical and nuclear weapons? Like, no, we're not saying anything. We're just saying anybody that tries anything is going to find out, kind of stuff. And you're like, okay. And then, like the demands kept going up and all sorts of stuff. And so finally the US invades, right? And the day that day they go find the ambassador or something that was in part of the UN, whatever. He was there. And they put a microphone in his face and they're like, do you care to comment on what happened? Now that, because it's like the troops went across the border, and I mean, it was a very fast campaign on the way back. And he said, the game is up. And he turned around and went into the building. Like, it was like, oh, part of our, part of the strategy is to pretend that we've won, that we're winning. Because if you don't, if you're like, please don't bomb us, well, whatever you need, we'll take, then you just lose everything at that point. But if you're like, no, we already won and you need to surrender to us, then there's at least a chance that they will, and so like, you don't want to throw away that chance too early. And so I think that's what is going on. Like there's so little data coming out of this. I mean, some of the stuff that I was looking at satellite photos of Karg Island, where all the fuel depot stuff is, or the oil depot stuff, and are like, there's very little, almost no movement in or out of that thing. The island machinery seems to be shut down. They're trying to figure out how to load these tankers with more oil. Some of them are leaking. Like, this is a big problem. But there's no, it's not like you see this stuff on the news because there's no reporters are embedded. You're like, we're trying to put bits and pieces of stuff together from the little, like follow the breadcrumbs as far as like who's winning, who's losing. And so maybe they're like, no, we won. We're holding all the cards, unless you want us to attack you, you need to pay, kind of thing. I don't know. Like, I don't know how long you can keep that going. Because I think actually the time pressure works out differently. If you're Trump or part of the Trump machinery, Rubio or whoever, or what's the Secretary of War, Hegseth. If you're one of these people, you cannot say to yourself, we'll go home. Okay, we got to a stalemate. We got election coming up. We can't have this sort of hovering over the election. So we can just say we got what we wanted.
None of them are going to say that. Trump would have to say that.
Right. But I'm saying that anybody within that orbit cannot say that. I don't even think Trump can say it and get away with it in terms of his his base.
Sure he can. They'll believe anything he says. I mean, he literally, he's on TV saying that we've already won, and it's just, we're really close, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, and meanwhile, they're like, we're close to what? We're not even talking. We didn't even show up to the last negotiation, yeah.
Right. So, well, unless the reality on the ground, and this is the part where, like I said, we're trying to put breadcrumbs together. Unless the reality on the ground really is, it's basically over. We're waiting for them to stop, the facade, and it's like, just give it a little bit. It's basically done, kind of thing. Or, if it turns out not to be the case, I think the time pressure actually works where you have a military escalation on our side to be able to put something else in motion prior to the midterms. So basically walking away looks bad. Stalemate looks bad in terms of midterms. So just thinking of it politically, like not thinking about, again, right or wrong, all that stuff. Just think politically. An escalation, though, can turn into electoral victory.
Oh, I know. That's why, for sure. That's why it's like anybody who was like, oh, there's no boots on the ground, blah, blah, blah. Like, of course, there's going to be boots on the ground. Of course, all that's going to happen. And
maybe, but the thing is, if it does happen, it's going to happen a lot closer to the election, because if it happens now, people have a chance to get bored of it.
And it has the chance to go sideways, which you don't want. So but the first like 3 or 4 weeks of it are going to be fine, as you have momentum, and they're like, people are shocked and whatever. That I agree with you. That's the best time to do it is do it right before the election. And then, yeah.
Like you're like think 2 weeks before the election, a big fuel air bomb, being released over like a refinery or something. And it's like,
the thing is though, and people are arguing for this, like I saw this pundit the other day was like, what we just need to do is just take out Carg Island, and that'll put an end to this whole thing. And it's like, I don't understand like how you think that's a good idea. Like if you do that, their response, we know they have all these drones and all this other stuff. And we know what they did with the last, when it was hot, they were bombing stuff that our allies in the region care about and need. Like the biggest thing that the Arabs have it's just Dubai, but the desalinization plants that are in all these countries, they've invested, billions of dollars into taking that seawater and turning it into fresh water, not just for people to drink, but for the crops. That's how they're doing the irrigation and the terraforming and all this stuff. It's just amazing what they're doing over there. But they need those desalinization plants, and everybody knows where they are. The only reason they haven't been hit yet is because they are, technically like civilian targets. Like those are not, you can't attack an oil refinery or a water treatment plant or any of these other things that are used for people to go live their lives without it being a dramatic escalation. I'll leave off whether it's legal or illegal under international law, but but just that's that
kind of takes things into
it's like, man, category. It's like, it's one thing that we broke up, but when you left, you keyed my motorcycle. That's now we're you keyed my bike. Like you could have stolen my television, but you keep my bike. Like that's not right. That's not right. Yeah. So I don't see. I don't. But who knows? One thing that you have to admit about whatever strategy they're employing, and I'm talking about us now, since we're the instigators here, is like I don't see what strategy they're using. However, one thing I can say about whatever it is, assuming it exists, is that it is inscrutable, and that is probably exactly what you want in terms of like keeping your enemy off balance. But I just, I don't get
well, it. I mean, it's a siege strategy, seems like, and when the siege finally breaks, has its outcome, it's always one of those where it's like surprising to everyone. It's like, wow, I can't believe they lasted this long, is equally as likely as, and it's already over, and so.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were saying at the end of the Iraq thing there. It's like, I can't believe this is over already. It's only 20 years.
Gosh.
My gosh, exactly, man. 20 years, $6 trillion of.
Hey, speaking of politics and midterms, I have a question for us. So not everyone that listens to our podcast is Texan, but one of the interesting things that's going on in Texas politics right now is the Senate seat currently held by John Cornyn. And John Cornyn is particularly vulnerable for a couple reasons, but the primary one is that he was one of the senators that really played ball with the Biden administration. I think he kind of figured, he's sort of an old school Republican, so I think he probably figured like, all right, this Trump thing was a fun little national delusion. Now it's over. Normal times are here, and normal times in the Senate means kind of vote yes. It's like you're the opposition. Maybe you make a speech here or there, but like, oh no, this is must pass legislation. I had to vote yes, and we're like, yeah, but you sold us out of like, oh, that's what you got to do. We can't shut down the government, and I can't. He's just like one of the. And so during the Biden years, he was one of those people. He voted for more gun control, for example. He voted for the spending and the funding bills. He voted for all. Like you pull up the list, and you're like, looks like a Democratish, it's like a Fetterman, it's like sort of conservative, I guess, ish, sometimes crosses the Democrats, but most of the time votes with them. And so then Trump gets back in power. And turns out it wasn't just a weird little national delusion that happened. Like Trump wins 3 times in a row. Oh, sorry, twice. And then, sorry, I had to. It's the new world. We can make jokes.
We're still in the make-believe land, so it's totally fine with me.
Yeah, exactly. So he now is facing re-election, and he's got 2 fronts that he's got to defend against. One from his own party, Ken Paxton, who is probably like in a contest to out MAGA the other MAGAs. Dude went real hard. And I think he might have out-MAGA'd everybody. And like when he was the Texas Attorney General and the Biden administration was doing whatever, and he's like, some states' Attorney General will be the one to go sue the Biden administration and get them to stop. Half the time, that was Ken Paxton. So This is the exact opposite of John Cornyn within the Republican Party.
Right.
And so Cornyn is going to have to somehow convince enough people that he really was a new Republican this whole time. But he had to pretend not to be to go along with the Biden administration. But now that normalcy is returned, he's back to fighting the good fight, which is going to be a tough sell. If he manages to gather up enough of the conservative people within the Republican Party to get past Paxton, he then has probably the best possible Democrat candidate on the other side, who is a blank slate. Everyone gets to believe whatever they want to believe about him. And it's going to be really, really hard to fight against. It's going to be like the McCain-Obama thing, where it's like known quantity versus like the new inspiring person. And the new inspiring person is not really that new and inspiring. The new inspiring person, we both know, is going to be just like, they don't even have to show up because they can just vote however the party tells them to vote. Like, we know how party politics works now. Like, do you think he's going to be someone that will go against his own party? No. Like, he's not going to be a Fetterman. Well, he's not going to be a Rand Paul.
Neither is Cornyn, and neither is Paxton. Like, you know exactly what you're getting with both those guys. The only one that has any kind of independence at all is Cornyn, and it's not. I mean, only because of his tenure. He's got a tenure and a track record, and he kind of has his own voice because he's not. He was here before, and he'll be, whatever. But like you said, I don't know how good his chances are in the primary. So, I mean,
I think if he does,
I don't even think he's that great of a senator in the beginning.
No, he's not.
To begin with, so
he's pretty mediocre.
To me, it's like screw all of them.
Well,
Paxton is abysmal. I mean, just abysmal. And Tallarico, I mean, like, he sounds good. He does. He sounds good. He's obviously a person of faith, and his faith's very important. I've seen him speak before he was thinking about dropping out of politics when he gave that Rogan interview, and his first one. And I was just like, a few years ago, I was like, man, this guy, he's got a future somewhere. Like, I don't know whether it's in the where he's at now, but I mean, he's definitely he's got a talent there for. Whether it's politics or he was thinking about going back into seminary, whatever it is, like some leadership voice, like, will absolutely he'll find that, because he's just the way he presents is very accessible. It's not like he has these principled stands that I don't necessarily agree with half of them, but the way he expresses himself when he's explaining what he thinks or what he believes about it is very humble. It's very like understated. There's a tone to it it's not strident at all. It's not like I'm one of the enlightened ones, and like an AOC style type of he doesn't speak like that at all. And I think I've been very doubtful whether somebody with this tone can actually win office in this climate anywhere. And the fact that he has office, and the fact that he's he's raising a crap load of money. So at least like from a national standpoint, that people giving money to him at least see that message as somewhat resonant. I
don't think so, though.
Yeah, well, I could be totally wrong. Yeah. I'm saying like, forget about Tallarico. Just think about like people who speak like that. Who's another good example? I was going to say Pete Buttigieg, except he, like, after he was in the administration, his tone kind of shifted a little bit. But like before,
candidate Buttigieg
when he was like Mayor Pete, right?
Yeah.
Like that kind of presentation,
very likable,
and compelling. Like, even if you disagreed with what he was saying, it was like, well, I at least see how you got there, and I don't agree there. Maybe we could work together on this, right? Like, it's a very inviting, open type of posture that. I think is sorely lacking in the political discourse. Like, I mean, something almost of a bygone era. It's like, wow, you're still doing that. Like, that's wow. So to me, it's more of like a personal fascination or curiosity about, can someone with that voice actually win and then be effective? Well, we'll see about the effectiveness part.
Yeah. So the effectiveness part, I think that's where everyone needs to like chill a little bit. Like, I feel like those of us who lived through the Obama campaign and era and saw the difference between like what it takes to get people to pull the lever for you versus what priorities you actually have when you're in office, and who pays for those, and how they're structured, and so on. And you can just see, like, I mean, I'm not putting blame anywhere, but like, you can see like the Clinton machine using the Obama candidacy as an avenue to maintain their control structures and power and so on, which they should. Like, it's not a criticism, like, but it's maybe a criticism of the voters who are like, finally someone new and inspiring. And it's like, well, someone new, inspiring for you to vote for, but like not new, inspiring for like the country, as far as like change or some kind of meaningful improvements or something like that for normal people. So I think the Tallarico thing is more of like, given that the voter is kind of like the consumer of political messaging, has the consumer sentiment changed in such a way that the vessel to get the thing that we've always been doing, is the vessel now this, or is it still something like that, right? Because it's like, I mean, AOC is another really great example. Other than a few sort of boneheaded things that she does, I mean, she's a very reliable Democrat vote for the Democrat machine.
Dude, she's more establishment now than, like, I mean, some of the establishment people. Like, she's, she's a complete sellout.
Which again is fine if you think about her.
No, it sucks. It's like, I mean, from
someone who wants to be inspired by people, yes, it sucks.
No, not even, forget about the inspiration. I would like to see more intelligent policies.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
More intelligent policy. so it's like, okay, you stood up there and campaigned on these things, which were some of which were intelligent, right? Let's just say it like that, right? Like,
Okay.
I could use it. Let's in fact, let's table AOC, just talk Trump for a minute, right? It's like,
I don't care,
because we did it a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, look, I didn't agree with this whole platform, but it's like, okay, well, he gets reelected this time, and it's like, oh, okay, well, what are the things that I could be on board with this guy? And it's like, well, I'm definitely on board with this, and this, right? Okay, and then to see them just completely like then abrogate all interest in any of those things and do the opposite in those key areas where you were hopeful, right? Is and obviously the solution is, like you said, to just give up all hope, right? and then you won't be disappointed. And I agree, that is a solution. I just, it's also like, okay, but the average, I don't know, I'm probably, I would classify myself among the jaded crowd at this point. 51 years old, definitely jaded, seen a lot. And
you're
however,
a mirthful 51.
I'm mirthfully jaded, yeah. But if even I can hope for a better future and have like, okay, well, wow, this person's finally saying the things that we needed to, then you know the average voter who pays no attention to this stuff and is just like looking for, okay, well, that guy was a liar, so we just need to find the next person who's not a liar, and that's what people are doing, and I think it's so difficult these days because, like, going back to AOC now, like, I mean, she and Marjorie Taylor Greene had some kind of meeting recently. They were talking about, or they were having some discussion, and afterwards, AOC comes out and is like, well, because MTG was basically saying, look, we need to cut, this foreign aid to Israel. Basically, was the whole point of the conversation they were having, and at least re-examine it and curtail it, because this is none of this makes any sense. Or is folded in with any of the Make America First values that I was talking about, MTG saying, running. And like, this is so like, you're in Congress, before I resigned, I was in Congress, and it's like, like, I certainly would vote to like not give them any more money for this. Like, we're in control of the money. You want to do something we don't want you to do, so
no money.
Good luck doing it, as long as you have the money. And when you run out, don't come asking us, right? Like, you got private donors that can build your ballroom. You got private donors that can fund your little war, but we're not doing it, but then AOC comes out and is like, well, yeah, but I'm not going to work with Marjorie on that or on anything really, because of all the things that she said about Democrats and all the things that she's done. And she's taken all these positions. And so I'm not going to work with her on this thing where we actually agree. Right. And it's like, well, this is the thing, because it's like, okay, well, you just said that, but then like a few months ago, you worked with freaking Ted Cruz and Tom Cotton to do, what was the thing whatever that was that they did together. And it's like, they're nastier to Democrats than MTG has been, and it's like, and far more effective and potent as, like, I mean, you want to talk about partnering with evil. I mean, these people, in your definition, would be evil and good at it, like they're actually getting their agenda happening, but you got no problem partnering with them on that. But you do have a problem with partnering with her on this. So I think maybe it's because you don't actually want to do that thing, she's all about keeping that Israel flow money flowing now that she's establishment,
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, so the Israel money will flow until the people that are really in charge decide for it not to. And so
the people that are in charge are Israel, because they paid for everybody to be up there.
Just whatever, right? Like, yeah. I'm not pointing fingers at whoever's. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
I did it. I'll do it again. I'm talking to you.
That's fine. But the thing is that it's kind of like, okay, which version of this is the one that the customer will buy? And so up to now, the playbook has been, we get characters like AOC in there to like strongly denounce people and like yell and do social media posts and stuff. And it's like, okay, that's customer seems to like this, so we'll keep doing that. And so then it's like, hey, we need to keep the money going. So, whatever you say, make sure you say it in the way that you do so that the customer continues to be happy. If it's the case that Talarico gets elected or someone like him, then that just indicates that the customer now prefers this style of packaging and we'll still get the same stuff, right? But instead of like, like the Israel thing, it's like, well, now it's going to be because of some other reason about our allies, or here's some bleeding heart stuff about children being hurt somewhere, or in the case
Not
of
in Gaza, though. We're not going to talk about those kids.
no, but that's what I'm saying. Like whichever one, whichever version of special pleading it is, or if it's some other issue, like I don't know, like the trans people in sports, right? That thing's been this is in front of the Supreme Court right now. Before AOC could be like, we're here to stop trans genocide or whatever. And it's like, wow, that's customer doesn't like that anymore. But maybe we're going to continue to support this because we love our neighbor. It's like, well, no, that's something the customer likes now. And so same thing happens, but we got to shift the packaging to be something that, you buy off the shelf. And so, that's what I see the Tallarico thing is interesting. Like if he wins or gets very close to where the structure, the playbook now looks at this and is like, okay, we've got that close in Texas. Here's some other places that might be vulnerable to this new type of messaging, in order to get the same thing going that was already going. So it's like, it's not like anything's going to change. It's more of, is this messaging the kind of thing that people like to hear now? And I think it might be, actually. I think this is the kind of thing people like the very sort of pious talk, I think makes people feel very, very superior. And like they enjoy being the ones that resonate with the pious talk. It's fashionable. And so I don't know. I think he's got a good chance. I would not be at all surprised if he winds up winning.
What do you think of the Virginia Supreme Court overturning that redistricting map?
So this is another one of the great Uno reverse moments, because not only did that happen, but also South Carolina now has started a is redistricting like right now. And then I think another state is planning to do the same, where it looks like they're going to pick up another 10 to 15. I think Georgia said they wanted to try to do a redistrict as well. So it turns out that what was holding back some of these gerrymanders was the interpretation of the Voting Rights Act, which now has since been struck down, that particular interpretation. And so now you can have much more solid partisan gerrymandering in place. And lovely, since we're all in favor of that. So yeah, I think this is one of those where the Democrat thing, they should have just let it go. I think when Texas decided to do the +5, and that California took, I guess, the bait for the arms race, I think it turns out, and this is something that I had posed earlier, but which side has more to gain if we go all the way to the end? And I think your claim was that it was about, I can't remember if you were like, it was about even, or maybe there was a +R in there somewhere, versus a +D. I asked this question on Reddit. Everyone was very convinced that there was another 20 to 25 Democrat seats that could be gerrymandered into existence. Well, and there weren't any in Republican districts.
Oh, I don't know that there aren't any, but like the fact is that you have, like, if you count up all of the votes that are cast for Congress in the United States, I don't know what it was this last cycle, but the numbers I saw when this was kind of fresh in my mind were maybe from 8 years ago, 10 years ago, but it was something like 53 or 54% of the United States electorate voted for Democrats for Congress, right? But yet Republicans held whatever it was, a 50 almost the exact opposite of an advantage in the House, the way it was currently gerrymandered. So all of that is gerrymandering. Like if you actually have real districts that reflect geographic realities rather than these computer carved districts, then you should have, in theory, whatever the representation of this state. If the state went 60-40 one way, then you should have 60% of the seats be, it should be largely reflect it. The fact that it's not, it is all a result of gerrymandering. I mean, it's just
that's not always true though. Like you have low population. Well, so like if you have low population states that have maybe 2 representatives, and even if you put a line right down the middle of the like exact 50-50 split on the thing, that both sides of that might vote 60-40, and you wind up with 2R 0D, and it has nothing to do with gerrymandering. It just happens to be that like the only way to do it 1 and 1 would be to give additional representation to D, even though they didn't win in either sort of completely ordinary district. Like you'd have to create a D district. Does that make sense? Maybe think of it
because like let's say pick a state like
pick a state with only 1 representative.
Pick a state like, well, okay, so in a state with only 1, obviously the other people are going to get screwed, right?
Yeah. They'll have no representation in Congress, even though maybe they won 45% of the vote.
Right. Okay. So that's what they're. So and we would all say, well, that sucks for y'all. But we can also kind of intuitively know that's not really right, but it is what it is because you only have enough for 1 seat, right? Okay. However, right, what they're trying to do in some of these states, like I don't know if you saw the new map they're proposing in Tennessee, but they're literally taking that in Tennessee, there's the southwest corner of the state is Memphis, and that Memphis metroplex is very black, and so for a long time that's been a the Voting Rights Act, the interpretation was you had to leave majority minority districts alone, right? And so Memphis was basically kind of protected. They were always going to get a Democrat representative out of Memphis, if nowhere else, right? And the way that they carved up this map, they basically put all these lines in to crack that up, and voila, that Democratic district disappears, and now all those people are represented by Republicans. Yeah. And okay, well there's no sense of what's right or fair that's gonna play well with. You have to instead appeal to, hey, we got political expediency. We got to do this because nationally, blah blah blah, and it is what it is. And bummer.
Yeah,
but that's not a constitutional constraint. That's no.
So all I'm saying is that there are times it is possible to have a generic ballot where you lose the generic ballot, but wind up winning the number of seats and have it not due to gerrymandering.
Again, you'd have to have a state in order to prove that. You'd have to have a state that did not gerrymander at all in order to prove that.
Well, no, because you can, like I said, think of the one. You have a state with 1 representative, right? And you say, hey, those 40%, it doesn't matter. They count towards a national number of voters, but they're not. So you're thinking
in the abstract. You're thinking like the doctor.
Mathematically.
But you have to think. You have to enhance your mathematical equation with the reality that. So, for example, in most cities and congregated areas tend to lean Democrat, and most rural areas tend to go Republican, right? And so in any state or just take state by state, you have city areas that tend to have more Democratic voters, and you have rural areas that tend to have very few Democratic voters, or flip it around however you want.
Right.
So if you were going to draw 2 districts, let's say pick it's a hypothetical state of Fredonia, and you got one city. Yeah, you got one city and the rest of it's all rural, right? And you can have 2 representatives, right? Well, and let's say 150,000 people live in the city and 50,000 people live in the country, right? So you would have 2 districts. You would have a district of most of the city, and then part of the city that's maybe the exurbs or whatever else would be carved out and given to the rural district to make it 100,000 and 100,000, right? Well, the urban one would absolutely get a Democrat, and then the rural one maybe would be a toss-up, right? So you would have a scenario where you would have either 2 Democrats or a Democrat and a Republican, or if you had a really smooth-talking Republican who could, message properly, maybe you get 2 Republicans, but that would be unlikely, even if the vote was 60-40 Republican, right? You would almost always get a Democrat if it's enough in a concentrated area. And so it's not like, I mean, that's I'm not speaking about that. I'm just saying that on the ground, that's what it would. I don't know how you'd write the formula to come up with, could it possibly this and that? Yes. So in any given election cycle, anything can happen, right? But what I'm saying is over time, over a long window of many elections, right? It's like, wow, this one party, and in this case, the Republican Party for the last like 50, 60 years, like has been able to consolidate and keep power in Washington during the times that it had power, even though they were in the minority of people actually voting for Republicans. And that speaks to their much better ground game. Republicans have a much better understanding of local politics and local ground game. I don't know why. There's something obviously philosophical about it. So you have like Democrats who have the voting day turnout machines, and would take the vans and bus you there, and the aldermans with the coffee and the donuts and all that stuff. Republicans don't really do that much of that. However, like what they're very good at is getting on all of the local stuff. So like they take over the school board, they take over the local county, they take over, you know what I mean? And so they're very good at bubbling themselves up from the bottom. And they've just been way more that whole Project Red Map that DeLay was doing they worked on that for 20 years and it's absolutely worked,
So just in terms of like making sure we get the timeline right, the Democrats had been running the House of Representatives from 1954
up till 94.
Till 94, right? So this isn't for the last 50 years. Republicans have been doing this. This is the last.
They've been working on it. They've been working. So they realize.
But this is only the past 30 years, where before that, 40 years before that had been a permanent Democrat majority in the House of Representatives.
That's right. And part of the Republican strategy was like, because everybody likes to look at 94 and Gingrich and the Republican Revolution as some like event, because that's the way it occurred as an event. But it wasn't really an event. It was like 15 or 20 years of, hey, first we got to get elected a dog catcher in here, and then we got to get somebody, you know what I mean? And we got to start working on this, because these people at that time, then they started working on it, had been in charge for 25 years. And they're like, okay, enough's enough. And we're just gonna have to play a long game here. They start working on that in the early 80s to actually start like doing it.
And you think it's from redistricting?
Well, it's the local elections, but it also redistricting for sure. Like that's when computer models began to be used. Back in the 80s, they started doing computer modeling, and Republicans were just they're smart. They're better use of technology. It's like, well, if we use technology, we draw these districts this way, and then of course you had the whole argument on the left which I shared, which was, guys, that's not really appropriate. Like to try to the politicians shouldn't like choose their voters. The voters should choose the politicians. Like so, on the left for a long time, it was like, let's get rid of these mid-cycle redistricting. Let's only do it on the census years. Let's have a commission instead of like these political hacks. Yeah,
bipartisan way.
But that was never. You would never hear Republicans talking about. In fact, that when Schwarzenegger was governor in California, and he's the one that signed their law saying that we would not do partisan gerrymandering anymore. That was a huge thing for Democrats, and it was a massive like betrayal by Schwarzenegger of the Republican thing, but he didn't care about that because he could go through the primary process anyway, But he was like, he's like, I don't owe you guys anything, which I love.
Yeah,
he didn't. I love that. So like, I think there's it's from my point of view, like as taking out tactics and just thinking about like what is the best thing for the country. I think it's a huge step backward that we're now like, it's a free for all on redistricting. Cause it's like, to me, it's just that is like completely countermands like the voice of the people. Whatever voice the people could possibly have is like, okay, first we put money in politics, then we say corporations are people, and now we say money is speech. And so corporations spend as much money as they want. Now we let foreign governments come in here and do this stuff. And now we're going to even take away your ability to vote for the person you want, because we're going to throw you in a district with a bunch of other people where your vote's nullified. To me, it's like, okay, well, I don't know what else you want to do here to like basically like, turn America into not America. But
let me ask you this. Let me pose this to you for a minute. So this is going to sound maybe a little Darwinistic. Okay.
Sure.
So just see what you think.
I would expect nothing less.
Try this on for size. Right?
Okay.
the fact that gerrymandering works means that the population is too stupid to deserve a better system.
Well, the early founding fathers would agree with you. I mean,
Like,
they
you could draw,
didn't think
you draw the
very many
line.
people should be allowed to vote at all.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is you could draw the lines any way you want. All right, you pick the lines. If the people were smart enough, intelligent enough, had good community support and
Organizers.
connections, right? So it's like back in the Federalist Society days, everyone's like debating politics in the coffee shops and salons and stuff, like whatever, right? And so it's like, oh, it doesn't matter where you draw the districts, because people they're so informed, and they're paying attention, and they know each other, that none of those schemes are going to make any difference. And so, like, the fact that you can treat them as like these sort of statistical statistical machines,
Units.
and that they behave as statistical machines, means that they deserve having a gerrymandered democracy. Like,
Is that what they deserve?
they don't. Yeah, and me too, right? So, like, I live in the society. The society that I live in isn't good enough for a non-gerrymandered democracy, and so until it is, this is what we got.
I'd say it's a terrible frame.
Yeah,
I do. I think because if it's true, then first of all, there's no way to know if it's true or not. We can guess, and we can even come to a belief, and then we can act from that belief. But and the other thing is,
knowing
like,
if it's true, is you have to know what would have happened at some point.
Right. And so, but the other thing is, like, I think I just always reminded that Clint Eastwood movie, deserves got nothing to do with it, So on one side, I get your point, because it's like, well, look, it's like, did all these people deserve to die in this hurricane and all this other stuff? Like, obviously no, and yet nature doesn't care, and nature does what it does, and you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time, right? And so maybe, hey, all these people that are in America right now, they came here for one thing, but they're getting into something else. Hey, you just came at the wrong time. You're at the wrong place at the wrong time. You should have been here earlier. We had a great back earlier. But the other thing is, I think, just historically, right? If you look back, like you read the Declaration of Independence, and it says we hold these truths, to be self-evident: all men are created equal. They endowed by their Creator with inalienable rights, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. And it's okay. Well, says who? Now, these are their statement of beliefs, right? Like, we hold, right? It's like, okay, so these truths are self-evident, right? Like, okay, well, they're self-evident to you, but who says people are entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? Who says you're entitled to free speech? Who says you're entitled to any of these things, right? Yeah. In fact, historically, you're not entitled to any of those things unless we give them to you, right? As your government. And so, like, the whole philosophical shift of, like, no, we don't get our rights from the king. Like, the king gets his rights from us. Like, if we rise up and behead the king, then who was really in charge here, right? Yeah. So to me, now you might say, hey, society has evolved or devolved to such a point where aspirational statements like that and shared philosophies like that and claims to principle like that they're not valid anymore. They can't work anymore. They won't work anymore, because humanity is somehow, like, devolved into a place where they don't deserve that anymore. Whatever the case may be, it's. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying I don't see the utility in that point of view, other than to say, to help you lose interest in something that actually you're probably pretty interested in, but you need that cynicism so that you can protect yourself from the hurt and the betrayal that you're going to feel every time when you're disappointed. I don't. To me, it's like I really hope, and this goes back to the Tallarico thing, like, where you look at it as packaging and stuff like that, and like here are these shadowy money forces or whatever, which I I agree with you. There are shadowy money forces, but those money forces are basically shopping for who are, I'm sure you're right in the sense that that is what is happening behind the scenes, of course. And I would like to believe that somebody could get in and make the right choices. Like you look at, and I mean, dude, MTG is a great example for me personally because I like just despised her for so long. I just thought she was just the worst, you know? And to see her like do this about face, but not really an about face. Like all she's done is really like, I'm not changing any of the things that I said I believed in. I'm just standing up for what I actually said I believed and what I do believe. And I'm willing to lose my power over it. I'm willing to lose my connection to proximity to, you know, all this stuff. I'm willing to lose my base, my people that, whatever. To me, it's like, and I'd be the first one to say, dude, she's young and she's well exposed, and she could have a great second act if she chooses to have one.
Yeah.
In my opinion, because there's a huge audience, not just in her party, but in the rest of the undecideds out there, which is now the largest political party in America, or independents. There are more independents, people that are publicly affiliated with no one, than either Republicans or Democrats, and that's the first time I think since they've ever been tracking it. So it's like, to me, there's a huge audience for that kind of. I hesitate to slap the label integrity on it, but I will slap the label congruity on it. Like there's a very big appetite for that kind of congruence, right? Where it's like, I presented myself this way. I said that I was going to do these things. I showed up and I did them. It didn't matter what the consequences were. And I was happy to take the consequences of my choices because I believed in what I did, right? That is so rare that it's like, it stands out. So I hope we see more of that, you know?
You know, and there's a good chance that we will. Like, I think we're kind of in a weird spot in America where plenty of people feel like they don't really need to know some of the stuff, or
don't want to know.
Don't want to know. Yeah, like it's just not important. It's like, you know, I'm doing my job. Like what's the old Chinese proverb? You know, something like you know, kings and princes and generals, what does that have to do with me? You know, like I'm a farmer, man. Like
yeah.
what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, sure you vote, but like does it even matter, you know, kind of thing. And I think
sure, you know, mattered this cycle. They're not going to be able to afford their fertilizer for next year's crops.
I'll get bailed out.
Yeah, right.
Something will happen. Something.
Well, dude, I was literally watching this panel today, and they were talking about how, well, I mean, surely, I mean, Trump could really just do this with an executive order and basically like subsidize this. And it's like, well, how much money would that cost? And he's like, wow, we're already running a $2 trillion a year deficit. What difference does it make? And I'm like, wow.
What difference does it make?
What difference? I'm like, wow, that's a.
I don't know. You tell me.
What is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I interrupted you though. Did you finish your thought?
No. I mean, it just kind of thinking like, you know, we have like a very politically disengaged populace as a whole. Like if you look at the voting numbers, and when people are asked on things like, well, when are you planning to decide who to vote for? You know, and they're like, the day before, the day of, kind of thing. And like, you know, like I find it hard to believe that people who pay attention to these issues, and you see two diametrically opposed platforms, you know, either you just think to yourself, the platform doesn't matter and I haven't decided who I like more or whatever. But it's like you're waiting to the last day to decide like what's going on, you know, in terms of a functioning democracy. And I don't mean like that the votes are counted, but like,
no, I can tell you what it is. Like I mean, certainly at least for myself, like what it was, you know, like because I was undecided about what I was going to do this last election, you know, and the reason is because both candidates were so ridiculously unpalatable that it was like, well, how am I supposed to choose between these two? It's like, would you rather eat a shit sandwich or a shit sundae? It's like, wow, how about I just go in the front yard and eat some grass? Like, I mean, I just, I don't understand what I'm being asked to choose from here, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, the whole process that we all go through of like, this is really the best we can do. Like every year, every time it's like, this is it. These are the choices I have. And I think that's what it is. I think people, it's like, you know, cycle after cycle after cycle of getting presented with absolute bullshit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then, pardon my language, it's just, I just, well, how can you not be? You lose interest, lose curiosity, it doesn't even matter what I do. I hosted a fundraiser for this person. I showed up at this. I did that. I came out. I waved a sign, you know,
Nothing.
and then the big wheels from DC came in and they said this and that and the other and got him to like step aside for the other candidate whose turn it was and blah blah blah. And now he's saying that we should all hop on board with this person because you know we got to unite for the good of the country. It's like unite for what? For that? Like I can't, you know.
Yeah.
It's I think that's really where it is. I mean, like you ask, I mean, my wife notoriously like does not vote, will not vote, right?
Yeah.
And
mine's the same way.
Like,
she's just like,
well, she's like, why? Like, you know, one time we talked about it. I was like, I'm just really curious. I'm like, I'm not trying to get you to arrive anywhere. I'm really curious to understand your thinking, you know?
mm-hmm.
Like we live in one of the few representative, you know, democracies, a functioning representative democracy on earth. That happens to be the most important country probably on the planet. And why wouldn't you want to exercise your voice in that? Like people would kill for that privilege, you know? And she's like, yeah, but it doesn't matter. None of it matters. She's like, it's all bullshit. It's all corrupt. They're all just going to hoover money to themselves and the people that put them in office. And it doesn't matter what they say in this speech. It doesn't matter what they said on the campaign trail. When they get in there, they're going to do exactly what they're told. And it's hard to argue with her, especially like the more months that go by in this one. We're about to have our 10-year anniversaries. This is like a 10-year conversation we've been having. 10-year, actually longer, but yeah, our 10-year anniversary is tomorrow. And it's like the last like couple of years, this last cycle, they got me though. This last cycle, I was like, you know what? If he's able to pull off some of these things, like that'll make him the most consequential president in a long time, in my lifetime, certainly, you know? And then the fact that they didn't even really give it a serious try at all, it just is, it's like, wow. So I don't understand how his supporters are still like, he's the best. I don't understand it. It's like, if you can't go, yeah, I was a little disappointed with that one. Like on anything, then bro, you just got, you don't have your brain turned on. I mean,
well, you know, the thing is that I agree. Like there's I mean, you do have like PDW, which we sort of joke about from time to time, but PDW is like their moderation policy is pro-Trump only. So like literally doesn't matter what's going on. Like, well, those are the only posts that you're going to see because those are the only ones that are allowed. And that's the theme of their site. And so whatever. I do think if you look at places that have tended to be friendly to Trump, so think of like Zero Hedge, for example. They've been hugely against both the tariff stuff and also the Iran shots fired. Yeah, the operation. And yeah, like it hasn't even been like, and they've sort of begrudgingly offered various things. Where like, well, this might have been a good idea now in hindsight, but accidentally so, you know. And it's like, okay, fine, you know. But yeah, I think you have seen people that have been, you know, like some of the faithful or whatever. I just find that whole discussion, like the faithful, to be just so weird. Like,
that goes back to the very first thing we were talking about, right? Like, what are you faithful?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Like, the dude's elected.
That's my whole point.
Guy.
It's like, dude, like, so you elected this guy and you were a fan. I got it. And now he's doing some things that are unexpected or you didn't expect or you didn't, you know, or actually opposed to things that you've said you cared about before, but now all of a sudden you don't care about them anymore because it's your guy doing it. Like, so that's not, you're not,
no,
so you're not treating him like an elected official. You're treating him like something else. You're treating him like, oh no, he can't be, like in your mind, he can't be wrong. Cause if he's wrong, then I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, then blah, blah, you know what I mean? It's like, so we can't do that. And it's like, I don't understand. Well, I do understand it. I don't understand how you get there. And what I'm even more fascinated with is Trump aware of how is he communicating? How is he presenting himself that gets people to be at that place? Like so many of them. It's like that's a fascinating. I mean, like you can say whatever you want about the guy, but it's like, dude, the guy's an amazing communicator. It's like I've spent a lot of time like trying to analyze, like break down, like what is the sales process that is happening here? How is he doing that? Yeah, it's like a magician, because it's so irrational. It's like you said you cared about this. So like even if you were like, hey, I don't regret my vote, I don't regret anything, and I do have a problem with that one policy. Why wouldn't you say that? Like that's I would say that about any elected official. It's just an elected official, and he made a bad call on that one. I could say that about a baseball umpire. It's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. No, I can't say that. No. In fact, but can you imagine the alternative scenario if she was president? Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a decision that this guy who you voted for made that goes against everything you believe. I thought. Do you have any comment on that? Nope. Nope. No comment. All right, man. I gotta run.
Do you have any quick predictions like for Texas? Do you think Talarico is going to win this one? Do you think Paxton is going to be able to be nominated?
It will be one of the two Republicans. Whichever Republican wins is going to get it, unless I mean, barring some ridiculous thing. I mean, like the only thing that I see that could really get
no blue wave.
Yeah, what would really contribute to a blue wave? If you really wanted a blue wave scenario, then this war needs to continue. The price of gas needs to go way up. But Trump said the other day, he's like, yesterday or whatever, they were like, how much time do you spend thinking about like, how this war is affecting the lives of Americans? Did you see this question yesterday? And he goes, I don't spend any time thinking about it. He goes, it doesn't matter to me what happens to the lives of Americans. It shouldn't matter. It doesn't matter to them either. They know that we have to keep Iran from getting a nuclear weapon and And so they don't mind paying more for gas. They don't mind paying more. They understand. They understand. The American public, they understand. And I'm like, do they though? Yeah. Like, I'm like, let me tell you something. If gas he was saying, they said, well, gas is now over $100 a barrel. What do you have to say about that? And he's like, well, I thought it'd be a lot higher. Is that all it is? He goes, oh, I thought we'd be $200-$300 a barrel, but we're only in the hundreds. That's fine. And I get what he's doing. He's recalibrating, but I'm like, dude, there's no way he thought that it could get to $200 a barrel. Like if it got to $200 a barrel, the entire economy would grind to a halt. Like that's like game over. Nobody's even run the simulations on what that would look like. Like it's so ridiculous, So the fact that he could just throw these things out, I'm like, dude, you didn't consider they could close this. You said you didn't consider they could close the Straits of Hormuz, but you're saying you did consider if oil goes to $200 a barrel, you're cool. Like, give me a break, man. Like, come on. So it's like you're pushing the gambit a little too far. Like we can all see what you're doing now. You know what I mean? So I don't. If those things happen, they have a real issue on people's pocketbooks. If especially these ones that have not come out against the war, I mean, the war will be blamed for that. It is the culprit, and so that's the wild card. But barring that, I don't see Texas going blue. You?
Yeah. Not really. Yeah. I don't see it, at least not right now. I think I'm kind of curious to see if all the redistricting actually gives another Republican House, because I think right now as far as I can tell, the strategy right now is to do another impeachment, and it's like, okay, it worked last time, completely gummed up the works. We can this house, this chamber becomes like the permanent committee on impeachment. The whole thing, right? Like that's what we do. What do we do today? We're here to impeach Trump again. And it's like, well, we can trickle out the revelations. We can have someone like Adam Schiff doing, I've seen it. I can't show you. I can't, but I've seen it, and it's like, we can do that long enough. And it's like exciting. Everyone has a great time.
Bread and circuses,
and
buddy.
I kind of feel like that party isn't going to happen. And that just makes me sad for them, because I know they're really hoping for it.
You don't think the Democrats will take the House?
I'm kind of 50. CNN just did a analysis of this, and they're 50-50 on it. They don't see any potential. Like, they're looking at the current generic ballot. I think from CNN was +3 Dem, which isn't enough to actually. It's not going to do it.
That's surprising. I didn't
one of the reasons, they said when they were diving into it, Trump's numbers on the economy are taking a hit, but the Democrat stuff on the economy is not being boosted in response. So it's not like, oh my gosh, the Democrats were right all along. Bidenomics was working. We just had to give it more time. And it's like, no one thinks that. And so it's not like, it may just be something like,
that's what I'm saying. The people have already, like, if that's true, that's remarkable, because that just means that the people have seen through all of it. They're like, okay, these guys, basically, they knew Democrats sucked on the economy. Now they know Republicans suck on the economy too. So it's like, wow, these guys, at least these guys, were in charge of the economy, made a bunch of knuckleheaded decisions. Okay, we voted them out of office. These guys literally stabbed themselves in the face. So I don't even, we can't reelect them, but we can't elect these other people either. That's so interesting. That is really fascinating. Yeah. It'd be good. You know what we should do? It's so funny. You're just bemoaning the state of electoral interest. We should just boycott the elections. Just every citizen completely just boycott everything. Don't show up. Don't go, and see what they do then. Who's going to get elected when there's only 2 people voting?
But why would that make any difference? Like, the people that are winning the primaries are the ones that were voting.
The whole point is it doesn't make it under this theory, right? Like, it doesn't make any difference anyway. So what difference does it make? It's like, well, yeah, but at least now I've registered I didn't show up to vote for the lesser of 2 evils. I showed up and didn't vote for any of them, or I voted for, write in your own favorite. Everybody just writes in everything, it's like, but that's it. It would never.
But if we wanted, but that's the thing, is if we wanted one of those other candidates, we would have voted for him in the primary. Like, the primary voters are, you're like, darn primary voters. It's like, well, yeah, because the rest of the populace is too stupid.
If you cared about primaries, you would show up and vote in the primaries. The best way to change the mixture of voters who votes in the primaries is for other voters to vote in the primaries. Yeah, I hear you.
Which they're not doing, which means they're sort of okay with whatever slop they get. And so then it's like,
dude, what we should do, we should create an AI candidate and have the AI candidate speak to the exact center of the political debate, like whatever the majority poll position is on everything. We make the candidate take that position, and then model out.
So this is a great idea, but it's actually very difficult to do. And the reason why is because AI is going to reflect back its training data. And unfortunately, its training data, like I said, is 40% Reddit, 20% Wikipedia.
We'll get a Chinese model. So
and it's also been aligned by,
that's what I'm saying. We'll get a Chinese model.
The reinforcement learning. No, dude, you should ask a Chinese model about various political issues. They're wild what you get in response. Kind of amazing, in fact. But anyway, it's like being able to set up a prompt where you basically bypass that. It's like not I don't know how you'd have to do it in order to say, like, we just want poll numbers. Like, we're not interested in what you think is right or wrong. We're just thinking about, like, what does the polling say?